I would say I had a fear like everyone else. And it was so, I could always talk to people and try to tell them how to get over their fear, but I had that same fear and I just didn't think I could actually do it. And so I didn't do it because I didn't think I could do it. I didn't feel like I was able to, I didn't have that suave talk. I didn't have that, but I have my talk. I have the way I talk to people, but I didn't know how to do that. And so I kept listening and kept listening. And I mean, Roland, you were my biggest cheerleader because you just kept telling me, you're like, DeAnna, you just need to go do this. And I listened to the scripts, I read the scripts, but in my voice, I couldn't figure out how to do it. But it was really funny. It's called comfort, and it's called, you have to, I call it life-ing. I changed the word marketing because I hate marketing, to be honest with you. But life-ing is you're living it, right? You're living what you do. And so when you believe in something and you want it and you're passionate about it, then you'll do it, you'll life it, right?
Hey everybody, Roland Frasier here with another episode of Business Lunch, and I'm kind of excited today because I haven't had a chance to do this yet, and I've got somebody who I have known, it seems like forever, certainly in all of my current iteration of business life. She has been either out there doing great things or working with us, and as a business partner in deals, as somebody that has run multi-thousand people events, as somebody that's doing acquisitions and all of those kinds of things. I want to welcome my good and longtime friend, DeAnna Rogers. DeAnna, welcome to Business Lunch.
Thank you, Roland. Glad to be here.
Yeah. Nice to have you here. So would you kind of tell everybody, like, this is, I'd like to kind of give them a little bit of your background and then kind of how you got into your current entrepreneurial life. And then we can talk about some of the fun things I want to go through. Can you just kind of give everybody, this is the DeAnna Rogers story?
Oh, that's boring. Yeah, I mean, I met you probably 18 years ago. I had an event company. I had a company called AMG, and Roland was a speaker out there, and he actually came and spoke on my stage. I was begging people to be like, please come, please have faith in me. Roland had faith in me at that time and came and spoke. I was doing events in the real estate space and working with other event planners, and that was a passion of mine, was to have an event company. And then he brought me in. He was partnering with Ryan Dice at that time, and he brought me in and said, hey, we'd like for you to help us with this little event called Traffic and Conversion Summit. And so I was able to come in and work with them, and I was able to learn so much over those years, and just being in the presence of Roland and Ryan and the team, and growing TNC and having just a little footprint in that and being able to grow it was so much fun. And then, obviously then COVID happened, and Roland and I were traveling all the time, doing events everywhere, and COVID kind of put a pause on things, and we kind of shifted, and Roland created a brand new brand and a brand new company called Epic. And he asked if I could help him and support him and kind of help him with that company. And I was very blessed and honored. And so I've been working with him in that part of the company for about 5-6 years now, 5 years. And, it's so funny because I've listened to Roland for over 18 years and I've done all that and I know what he does. And I was really afraid to do acquisitions myself. I'm okay with like trying to go out and sell it for people and share it and run it. But I wasn't really wanting to go do it myself until one day he was like, D, why aren't you doing this? And I'm like, well, I'm not you. And he's like, no, but you're you. And so I've been bringing some deals to the table and asking Roland to partner with me on it. And he said yes. And so I can now officially say that Roland is one of my partners. And that just feels great. And we've been growing since then.
That's awesome. One of the things that I like is that you kind of either, I don't know, did you ever gone through the courses that we do, or is it kind of just being around in terms of, this is to me kind of interesting because we've had a few people that work with us go do deals. And one of the things that we teach, for those of you who don't know, is how to acquire companies, usually with little or no money out of pocket. And so it's always cool when somebody goes and does that, that's kind of in our inner circle, not necessarily a formal student, not somebody that came in through our marketing or anything, just somebody that was kind of around and got it by osmosis, which I think is the case with you, but I had never really asked you. Have you gone through like the actual training with an eye towards doing it, or is it just that you've heard it so much you were just kind of like, okay, I'm going to go do this?
It's both, to be honest. It started out with just me being in the presence and being on the coaching calls with you and understanding and listening, and then I would start having questions and I didn't want to come and ask and seem like I didn't know, so I'm like, you know what, I'm just going to go back through myself and I'm going to dive in. And so I've gone back through the myself and acted like a student um and worked on my own pace, and I knew I've been around it a lot, but there was things that maybe didn't make sense to me at that time. And now that I've gone through it as a student, it makes sense as I pay attention to it. So I've done both.
Okay. And I have so many things I want to ask you. I'm gonna start with the acquisition stuff and then move into more business stuff because what you guys may or may not know is DeAnna runs a pretty large part of one of three main things of our business, and so she's really been in the role of building teams and doing a lot of things that I think will be of interest to the people that are watching and listening. From an acquisition standpoint, though, I'm going to start there. So, tell me about the first thing that you did. I want to say it might have been the food truck thing, or was
It
it
was my
something else?
first.
What's okay? So, just share with everybody kind of how that evolved, and because I really want to try to help people see that anybody can do this, and you know, you just kind of were around it, heard a bunch of stuff, and they were like, I'm going to go try that. So will you kind of tell that story and let people get an eye in on it?
Yeah, I think I was I would say I had a fear like everyone else. And it was so I could always talk to people and try to tell them how to get over their fear, but I had that same fear and I just didn't think I could actually do it. And so I didn't do it because I didn't think I could do it. I didn't feel like I was able to I didn't have that suave talk. I didn't have that, but I have my talk. I have the way I talk to people, but I didn't know how to do that. And so I kept listening and kept listening. And I mean, Roland, you were my biggest cheerleader because you just kept telling me, you're like, DeAnna, you just need to go do this. And I listened to the scripts, I read the scripts, but in my voice I couldn't figure out how to do it. But it was really funny. It's called comfort, and it's called, you have to, I call it life fitting. I changed the word marketing because I hate marketing, to be honest with you. But life fitting is you're living it, right? You're living what you do. And so when you believe in something and you want it and you're passionate about it, then you'll do it, you'll life it, right? So whether you're going to the grocery store, whether you're going to the dentist and you're sitting in the dentist chair and you're talking to the dentist about what you're doing now, that's called life fitting, right? And so getting to back to what the story is that my husband and I were at a food truck park, and we're just sitting there and we're paying attention to what's going on, and you could actually see that the two people running this whole thing was a husband and wife team, and they're going nuts, right? And I was over there getting a margarita,
And so
and I
they're running like a place where food trucks gather, or they're running a food truck, or both.
no, well, both. They had one that she was running, but her and the husband actually owned the whole food truck park. So there was like
Okay.
20 different food trucks with like a big main stage with like activity with like bands, right? And you could
Okay.
see, you could watch and see that these two people were running everywhere. And so you kind of knew who was in charge, just because if you're a people work person, I'm a people watcher. I knew exactly that they had to be either an owner or they were an operator of that park because they were the ones doing all the things, right? And so I
Mhm.
went up to go get another margarita and I just said, "Hey, do you own or operate this? Because what a great place. I've never been here before and this is so awesome." She's like, "Yeah, and I hate it." And the minute that she said that, I was like, "Why do you hate it? This is awesome. This is great." And she's like, "Girl, this is horrible." And I guess I caught her on a bad day and I was just trying to be overly friendly, and I just started talking to her. Well, she was supposed to be working and she ended up just started talking to me. And I said, "Well, this is so great." I said, "What's your big problem?" And she's like, "See my husband over there? He's over here. He's doing two jobs during the day and he comes here at night and he's doing this and da da da." And she starts going into the whole story. And she goes, "We just need someone to come in and buy this from us and we just need to get out. I used to be a hairdresser and now look what I'm doing." And I go, you should find an investor and get someone or a partner into this. And she goes, yeah, if I could only find one. I go, well, funny thing is my husband and I were an investor. And it just like came out of my mouth because I've learned this from Roland, right? Like I was like, well, I'm an investor and this is what we do. And she's like, really? And I was like, well, can you tell me more? Should I come back? Because I know you're very busy. She's like, yeah, could you come back like in an hour? And so I'm like, okay, I'll stick around because who knows where this goes. And we hit it off. So my husband and I sit there, we enjoy some music, and I go back in a little bit later, and her and her husband walk us around and start talking about the whole process of the park and all the things. And I mean, I'm not joking, y'all. Like 2 hours from the moment that we stopped to 2 hours later, she's like getting our information. Let's set up an appointment. Let's figure out how we can work together. And as we progress through this, she kind of wanted cash injection because she needed cash. We decided we weren't going to do that, but what we could do is help them grow and scale and figure out better ways to make it to where she's not in the business, her and her husband, and figure out how we could grow that. And so we ended up doing a CFE deal at the time that was trying to make it to where we would actually have equity in it. It ended up not being that way. We ended up just doing a consulting. We started with the CFE, ended up being consulting. But what was great about was is that I was going to have to go and meet with them for 2 to 3 hours on a Saturday once a month. And she was going to pay $10,000. Now, where I got that was from Roland because he kept talking about these 10, 10, 10s and all these things. And I'm like, well, our cost is $10,000. I've never charged that, y'all, ever for someone to do that. I just threw it out there because that's what Roland told me to do. And they didn't budge. And so for a year, I was able to go on a Saturday once a month and go out there and work with these people. And I got $10,000 a month for that.